over isolationism in the United States. Remember, we can see how these things are getting involved. Some people said it was FDR's own doing, and he was wanting to get involved in a war because he knew the war would make us money and get out of the Depression. Other people saying, no, that's not the case. He's just trying to help out his friends. Regardless of which side you're on, the isolationist debate was real, and it was intense. All right? So under isolationism, here we have the thing, right? U.S. didn't want to do anything. We have two sides, right? Telling Uncle Sam, one side help him, one side do nothing. And so we're going to talk about who were the help them groups and who was the do nothing groups, all right? There were two committees. Here it is. This is the help him group. They were called the Fight for Freedom Committee. And this is good propaganda, right? You stop them over there now and you keep them away from here. Notice this is like a demon-possessed German soldier. And who's he coming after? Your wife and kids. I don't know of any other bigger propaganda, right? So the Fight for Freedom believed in getting involved in World War II. Why? The mentality was that they would come over here. Hitler did have a plan to invade the United States. What happened in 46? But he killed himself in 45. All right? Now, opposed to them is the don't do anything. And they were called the America First Committee. Put America where first. Now, this is an interesting thing here. We have FDR, right? He's reading a bedtime story to the people. See it on his butt? And it says the story about the destruction of religion throughout the world. And this boy is saying, gee, that's awful. Now read the one about Uncle Joe killing the 50,000 Christians. So what is that going on? Uncle Joe is a kind of loving nickname given to Joseph Stalin. As we get closer and closer, we begin to develop this friendship, maybe unwaveringly, with Joseph Stalin. And Joseph Stalin did have these purges through the Soviet Union where he killed people. And at one time, he did kill 50,000 Christians in one of his purges. And so he's basically saying, you're telling me we want to go get involved and help these people with religion, yet one of the people we're trying to help is actually part of the problem. Now, it says here, the fight against foreign war has begun. The vote on neutrality revision was the closest yet, those neutrality acts. There is still time to keep out if you do your part by joining America First. And so this is America First Committee. Now, a big member of the America First Committee was actually Charles Lindbergh. And there was a kind of a disaster that happened with Charles Lindbergh. It was called the Lindbergh baby disaster. Basically, his son was taken from his room, kidnapped, held at ransom, and the people who took him for ransom said it was because of his pro-Nazi views. They decided ultimately to pay the ransom using marked bills. First time we used marked bills to trace him. Once they traced him down, they had discovered that the baby had been dropped upon leaving the second floor window and died and buried there short after. Okay? I know that's horrible, isn't it? But there's a video I'm going to show you about that. Now, FDR is a great orator, a great speaker. Orator means, he's a deliverer, he's a speaker. He gives a speech entitled The Four Freedoms. He's basically trying to drum up support and get us closer and get the American people to support going to war to help England. Now, what did he say? He said, ours are shared with England and others of us of democracy four freedoms, and that is freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. And he said, England shares this with us, and so he's trying to drum up support and get them to happen. Now, as he's trying to drum up support there, he also goes and makes a pretty good pact with Churchill based on the Navy, and that is called the Atlantic Charter. More or less what it says is that the U.S. is going to practice its own defense. That means that our boundaries have been shifted out into the middle of the Atlantic, and if we see a German U-boat, we're going to tell England about it. Now, later on, that changes once we have some boats sink, that we're going to sink on sight. And so we are very quickly becoming involved with the U-boats, and U-boats were getting close to us because we were doing the Lend-Lease Act and all these things, okay? So you can see how that is, correct? Now, I need you right here to describe the debate for war, both sides, and I need you to explain the significance of the four freedoms in the Atlantic Charter. What is FDR trying to do here? Now, the last thing is we were convinced that the Germans would be the ones to bring us in. but what brought us in was what we were doing in the West, in the Pacific, and so we're going to look at that, how that happens, as well as what Hitler's forced to do. Okay?